Now, before we close, I know we're about to wrap up soon, right? But you guys had such a such an interesting program that you put on recently, right? Using the fun method, but now applying it to robotics, right? And the reason I loved it, right, being able to be a part of it, because I was able to see, man, especially for us in the African American community, a lot of youngsters, right, young kids being involved, right, in STEM programs, in robotics, right, in coding from a super young age. So can you guys kind of just give a little background about how you guys even came up with putting the program on, and also just tell us, how the program went in general, because I know you guys are going to be moving forward to also continue to do this for families and for children as well.
Okay. So, I got a story.
I love the stories.
Right.
The stories are great.
So, what I've learned about Cecil, he likes to sign us up for things and hype things up that don't actually exist yet.
Right.
And then he likes to come back and tell me, hey, D, I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say, but just hear me out. Just hear me out. Right? And as soon as he say that, I already know this man has signed us up for something that we do not have.
Oh, he had the conversation yet. He already agreed to something.
Boss, he already agreed to it. Oh, yeah. He got dates and everything. Dates, times. I'm like, what are you doing? Right? So I'll try to not belabor the story for too long, but this kind of goes back to what I talked about earlier. Your first question when you talked about the big win. Okay. So Cecil one day, Cecil has a son, and his son was he went to his son's soccer practice. Okay. And when he was there, he saw some of the parents, they were like huddled around, and he basically said he received the unction. Okay. Amen. To go and see what were these parents huddled around. And it turns out they were huddled around a cell phone. And there was a guy on the phone who was the organizer of the soccer program, right? And the parents were upset because I guess none of the workers of the program showed up that day, right? And so Cecil was just there, just kind of listening. And then he received another unction because he realized that there was not a lot of progress being made in a conversation. Okay. So he got another unction. Amen. And he decided to take hold of the phone and he became the leader and the driver of the conversation to try to get to a resolution.
Right. Okay.
So
action.
Then I think a little bit after that, they must have got off the phone, and then somehow they must have got back on the phone with the guy. So Cecil tried to stay out of it a second time. He received another unction, got involved with it again, and continued to drive this thing to resolution. All right. So long story short, after all of that, now this is not him. He's not really just deciding to do this in and of himself. What he expressed to me was the Lord told him to go and like get involved with this unrelated like thing that don't have nothing to do with Shakur, right? And thereafter, the parents started coming up to him and they were like, Who are you again? What's your name? What do you do? And they start asking him all these questions. And eventually, Mr. Shah, Dr. Shah, decides to tell the parents that he has a robotics program and he's going to be having an info session on a certain day at a certain time. And if they're interested, he'll take their phone numbers and their email addresses and will contact them with further details. Okay. This was Mr. Shah. Now, I'll tell you, nothing existed at that time. There were no flyers. There were no reservations.
There was no interest meeting.
Huh?
There was no interest meeting.
There was no interest meeting. There was no presentation. I was completely and utterly unaware, right? And so as he started talking to me, though, when he was telling me the story, normally I'm the guy that's like risk averse. I don't want to jump out there and I don't have nothing yet, right? But it was something different about this story. It was like it wasn't him that got us in this situation. With him continuing to say the Lord told him to get involved, the Lord told him to do this and do that. What I came to understand was this is the Lord basically telling us, hey, it's time now, right? And once I felt that in my spirit, I totally switched gears. So it was no longer frustration that, oh, he done got us involved in something again that we ain't got nothing ready for. It was like, boss, we have to make this happen. Like now. Like this ain't nothing to play around with, because I felt that the Lord, literally the Lord himself, was like, y'all got to get this done. And this is me creating the opportunity for y'all to go ahead and make it happen. And at that point, that's when we really kind of started building the robotics program from there.
Thanks for watching the Lion and Lambo podcast. We hope this clip has been a huge blessing to you. And we want to remind you that we drop new videos, new podcast episodes every Sunday at 9 o'clock. You can find the full episode by clicking the card up at the top right of this video. If you prefer an audio-only experience, then we want to let you know that we're streaming through every major podcast streaming platform. For the full list, you can go to www.lionandthelambo.com. Until next time, go impact the world.